What is good, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm gonna share with you all my top tips to get over the fear of public speaking. Yes, so how I got this idea for this video is that I have been addressing a few public gatherings recently, some presentations I gave, and some parties where I had to address a group of people. And let me tell you that I have recently noticed that I am above the fear of public speaking now, but it used to be this harsh reality in my life over the years. You know, when I started out in school and college, I have had this real fear of public speaking, but now I realize that I'm well over it. So I thought, why not document all the ways in which I found out that I could tide over this entire fear thing, okay? And there's even talk that the fear of public speaking ranks even above the fear of death. So it's quite real, it's no laughing matter. And in this video, I'm gonna share with you what are the root causes of the fear of public speaking, because unless we know about the root causes, how are we going to go ahead and eradicate it? Right? And I'm also going to share with you some ways in which you can handle yourself, your nerves, and give wonderful presentations and talks to public gatherings or to your friends overall. Alright? And before we get started, let me tell you that this video is going to be so much more than, hey, picture your audience in their underwear. No, it's going to go a little more ahead of that. These are tips that I have used in order to tide over the fear of public speaking in my life, and they have worked wonders for me. Alright, so hopefully at the end of this video you will be able to walk away with some greatly actionable advice. So let's go. So my first tip to get over the fear of public speaking is be over-prepared. Know what you're going to talk about, know your material inside out. So as someone who is fearful of public speaking, it's best to be over-prepared. Okay, think of what you're going to talk about and go above and beyond the topic. Think of it from every angle possible. It's better to be over-prepared than to be under-prepared until you're fully confident of speaking in public. What happens is that sometimes you go up there and okay, you do manage to talk everything that you planned for, but there is some smart aleck in the audience who just lifts their hand and say, hey, I have a question, and doom, you know what happens. It is beyond your understanding. You do not understand what they're talking. You have not prepared for it. You do not want that, right? Until you are completely ready to field any kind of questions and you're completely confident, you have to be over prepared. It's so much better than being underprepared. Tip 2 that I have for you is practice and keep on practicing. So if you have the fear of public speaking, chances are that you try and block it out from your memory. Okay, I'm not going to think about it. Okay, it might feel good in the now, but then it's going to work out badly later on, because if you are not going to practice at all by blocking it out of your mind, you will not do well when the D-Day comes. The more you practice, the better you will get at delivering that speech or the talk or whatever, the presentation, and you will do a better job at it. And if you're not a fan of listening to your own voice, if you get conscious, then you can even consider playing some soft background music, some instrumental, you know, behind you while you are practicing it out for yourself. While we are on the topic of practicing, I cannot miss telling you that you need to practice in front of a full-length mirror. Yes, you have to speak out to yourself, look at your own image in front of a full-length mirror. Just this much will not do. You have to check out a full-length mirror and speak out to yourself. It's actually invaluable because every move that you make while you're speaking, it's quite distracting. You know, so sometimes what happens is you're swaying back and forth, right? When you're standing, you're swaying back and forth. That gets distracting. Sometimes what happens is that you say it, but you also spray it. There is a lot of spit flying all over. And if that is the case, you will see it, as spray happening on the mirror. So you can catch that as well. If you're sweating a lot, you can catch that as well, right? So there are a lot of stalling expressions and sounds people make often while they're speaking, like, I hope you understand. Do you understand? You get me? You get me? Or like, sounds, right? So these become distracting as well to people. So when you're practicing in front of a mirror, you will be able to hold on to all those things, detect them, and you can successfully remove them from your practice. So all these little subtle, sublime little actions that you're doing, they can be potentially distracting to your audience, and sometimes they are that fine line that stand between a great presentation and a terrible presentation. Alright, so that is the importance of speaking in front of a mirror. Alright, so now we have practiced in front of a mirror. Now what we need to do is practice in front of people. Okay, my recommendation is that go in front of loved ones and present in front of them. Right? They have to be someone you're very comfortable in front of, and they should be someone who give you genuine feedback as well. If you feel vulnerable in front of your loved ones, consider walking up to a bunch of strangers and say, hey, could you maybe spare 5 minutes of your time? I just want to run this talk by you, and can you give me genuine feedback? And it really works. I'll tell you why. Because these are strangers, right? And they don't give a damn about you, honestly. So they're gonna pay attention for you for like 5 minutes out of the genuine goodness in them. And then after that 5 minutes, after they give you feedback, they just don't even remember that such a person came around or existed. So it's gonna work out fine. If you don't like walking up to just random strangers around there, you can just walk up to, there are so many ways. There's a Toastmasters group that you can find, a local Toastmasters group. I will link it below if I can find what I'm talking about. And Meetup, there is this app just called Meetup. I'm sure you know about it. If you don't, go check out Meetup. A lot of public speaking interest groups are hanging out around there as well, or you can just go to a local co-working space and have practice sessions of speaking and talking in front of them, because I'm sure they have practice runs there as well. So there are 100 ways in which you can find people who are willing to listen to you, practice, and give you genuine feedback. So there, problem solved. All of you is to stay away from that booze. Yes, so when you feel that you have the jitters, the natural tendency would be just to migrate to get to that bottle of booze, which is so tempting. Right, so don't do that. Stop right there. Let's rethink that strategy. All right, so sometimes, yes, you might feel that it's going to make you feel so good, might make you feel good as well, but only in the moment. Later you will end up regretting it, because you will go there, you will press send, and people might remember your talk or your speech or your presentation for that terrible punchline, or that the amount of fluff that you spread all over that talk, or the kind of dreamy mannerisms that highlighted your presentation. So you don't want that. No. What you could do instead, if booze is your best friend, is wait. Hold that drink as something that you will reward yourself with right after the speech is done, the talk is done, the presentation is done. So once you're done, when you get off the stage, very important, get off the stage, and only then head over to that drink and celebrate. You did a good job. Important tip that I want to share with you all to get over the fear of public speaking is to gain some perspective. Okay, this is really important. Usually what happens is when we are the center of attention, we become really jittery, we become so conscious, and what we think about immediately is, how do I look to these people? How do I sound to these people? Right? So much so that you're not even paying attention to what you're actually saying. So what we need to do now is try to think of it from a totally different angle. Okay, let's turn the tables for a moment. Suppose you are in the audience and someone is actually giving a talk. right? What do? Are you going to scrutinize that person head to toe? Are you going to see, oh, is this person sweating? Is this person, trembling a bit? Are his hands trembling a bit? Is he moving, back and forth? Those small things, are you going to actually scrutinize him or her based on that? Or are you just going to listen to what they're saying? If they're showing some slides, you're going to see that. If, they are giving some examples, you're listening to that. Or even if there's some movement that happens across the room, if there's a cat going outside the window, you check that out. If there are people around the room, you do take a look around the room, right? You're not going to be glued to that person and scrutinizing them head to toe. When people have normal conversations too, this is what happens. No one is scrutinizing you all the time. Think of it as the same exact way, all right? So often if people are noticing something like a tremble in your hand or you feel sweating, why they're doing that is because they are conscious of those things in themselves as well. So something like that, all right? So usually people catch on to some things only when they are completely aware of that in themselves. But doesn't mean that everyone is going to notice those things about you. So that is all about perspective. It is going to be a serious cakewalk once this one point sinks into us. It really changed my life. Step 5 that I want to share with you today is to create a de-stressing ritual of your own. So before you go and approach the people you need to give the talk to, or you walk into the conference room, or you get on that stage, take a few moments to yourself. This moment is for you to de-stress. So it could be anything that you choose as your de-stressing ritual. It could be just taking a walk around outside before you enter. It could be taking a whole minute to do deep breathing. It could be thinking of what you're going to do right after you give the talk, okay? If you're going to meet people, if you're going to have drinks, if you're going to have good food somewhere, or if you're going to go home, relax to to some music, or if you're going to meet, your family after that, or if you're going to stay home, play with your dog, whatever it is, think of that. Whatever gives you happiness, that is what you need to think of. Make that your de-stressing ritual. Okay, it sure works and you really need one. That's really important. Full disclosure, public speaking is something that is not totally pleasant for all of us, for any of us actually, including me. Yes, if there's a chance to avoid it, who wouldn't want to avoid it, right? But yes, and it does get pleasant with time. You get used to it, and yeah, the butterflies in your stomach, the clammy hands, the sweatiness, and your brows, things like that might never leave you, and it's not easy to shrug them off that much. But yes, practice makes perfect. Record yourself, identify your flaws and correct them. Practice in front of your loved ones, practice in front of a mirror, practice in front of a wall even. And yeah, just have this de-stressing signal and reward yourself at the end of a speech, a talk, of your, whatever you are preparing for. And the fear can be overcome. Yes, it is. Should be positive. It is possible. So yeah, those are the tips that I had for you today to overcome the fear of public speaking. I had so much fun recording these and sharing all those things, little things that I've learned over the years that have helped me overcome my fear of public speaking. I hope you enjoyed them too. So thank you so much guys for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you the next time. So, love and light.